Welcome to the Hidden Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Jay, and today we're talking about the often overlooked world of intellectual property or IP. Joining me is Stephen Robertson, founder and CEO of Meta.
Thanks, Jane. I'm excited to share my insights on IP. It's a fascinating topic that can make or break a business.
So let's start with the basics. What is intellectual property and why should businesses care?
Well, IP refers to the intangible assets that exist in every business, like brands, software, copyrights, and patents. These assets can give a company a competitive edge and add significant value.
That's really interesting. Can you give us an example of how IP can create value for investors? Maybe something that's not immediately obvious.
Actually, a great example is Disney. They license their brands like Mickey Mouse and Star Wars for use in all sorts of products and experiences. This not only brings in recurring revenue, but also builds their brand reach and reputation.
Well, that's a great example. I never thought about how much IP plays a role in Disney's success. What are the risks and challenges of investing in IP? What should investors be aware of?
There are definitely risks involved, like litigation and maintenance costs, and valuing IP can be tricky. But with proper due diligence and expertise, investors can mitigate these risks and make informed decisions.
That's really helpful to understand. How can investors detect a business that truly appreciates the value of its IP? Are there any red flags or green flags that they should look out for?
One thing investors can look for is a company's IP narrative. Do they regularly talk about their intangible assets and how they're using them to drive growth? That can be a good indicator of a company that understands the value of its IP.
That's a great tip. Finally, what advice would you give to businesses and investors regarding IP? What's the key takeaway from our conversation today?
For businesses, it's essential to proactively manage and protect their IP assets to ensure long-term growth and success. And for investors, considering IP when assessing a company's value and potential for growth can make all the difference.
Stephen, for sharing your expertise on intellectual property. It's clear that IP is a crucial aspect of business that can create significant value for investors. I think our listeners will really appreciate your insights.
Thank you, Jane. It's been a pleasure to share my knowledge with your audience.